I always thought that the way I grew up and all the things in my childhood that have happened to me, I always thought that was the reason why I was an alcoholic. If you had this happen to you, if you were raised in a family like this, if these things happened to you, you would also drink. I came into AA and I was like, well, I'm a junkie and an alcoholic. And my sponsor said, what's the difference? And it took me a while to figure out that the difference is the only problem is me and the way I view the world and the people in it.
I heard it through the grapevine. Welcome. It's the AA Grapevine half-hour variety hour featuring the collected voices of Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm Sam, an alcoholic in Palm Springs, California.
And I am Alice, an alcoholic in Oakland, California.
Alice, it's so good to see you.
Really good to see you.
What's been going on with you? What's happening?
Life's amazing. You know, I've been a little bit under the weather with a cold, but life, even on the bad days, is amazing. You know, online Alcoholics Anonymous has put me in relationship with people all over the globe, and I have a sponsee visiting me from Toronto.
Oh, wow.
Poor thing. She's been here since Thursday, and I've been sick. But we've gone to like 3 meetings, and it's been really, really great. But sponsorship, even when you're sick, is wonderful.
And the fact that we can do it remotely. I'm going to be meeting with one of my sponsees over online meeting platform after we finish recording here today. Although I really do enjoy the in-person sponsorship meetings, though.
You know, one of the things that I have found about doing it online, it's, for me, superior to doing it in a coffee shop.
Yeah.
There's more privacy, there's more intimacy, and...
Well, and depending on the coffee shop, it's probably a lot quieter, too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's nothing like having someone in your home. I think it's an important part. Like, I've been inviting people throughout the pandemic to come and do fifth steps with me in my home. And most of them were out of state, so they'd fly in, I'd pick them up, they'd stay for a few days, we'd do some sightseeing. You know, after we do our step work, I get to introduce them to AA in a different part of the world.
Yeah.
But if it's not in home, I like online better than in public.
I was a little resistant to online sponsorship, but it's still one of those things that all of the guys that I'm sponsoring are local. I still want that physical proximity.
Do you?
I really like the going to the same meeting thing, at least going to the same one meeting together.
I have been more heavily online for the last 5 years. God's everywhere.
Alice, I think that we can sum up the sponsorship thing by saying, I hope that if you're available to sponsor, you're raising your hand and making yourself available to sponsor.
Sam, I have the most important question of the day for you.
You do?
Tell me, kind sir, who's our guest today?
Oh, that one's easy. We'll be talking with Mark from Cleveland, Ohio. And later, we'll see if we can interest him in some discussion based on hashtag heard in a meeting posts.
But first, my friends, the news.
You and your trills and such crack me up. Share your audio story with the grapevine, just as you would in a meeting. Think of a topic such as making amends or finding your first sponsor. Stories should be 6 to 8 minutes long. Your audio story may be published on the AA Grapevine YouTube channel. You can call the voicemail system at 559-726-1216 or send a recording to webcoord at aagrapevine.org. That's WEBCOORD at aagrapevine.org. Or you can go to aagrapevine.org and find us on there on how to share. Have you heard about our Grapevine book, Forming True Partnerships?
As the chapter on step 4 in the 12 Steps and 12 Tradition puts it, when we were drinking, many of us had a total inability to form true partnerships with another human being.
This collection of Grapevine stories shows the many ways members use the 12 steps, sponsorship, and the tools of the program to improve and repair their relationships.
It has colorful stories on families, friendship, marriage,
divorce, dating, romance,
coworkers, sponsorship, and get this, pets.
Forming True Partnerships covers a wide range of experiences from sober alcoholics, all focused on how we form true partnerships with others. Get it now at aagrapevine.org.
Hi, I'm Mark, and I'm an alcoholic. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. My home group is Gazebo, Sunday mornings at 9:30 a.m. at Stella Maris Cafeteria. My sobriety date is December 16th, 2018.
You know, I want to just tell you, Mark, that Lisa C. recommended you. She said something that just really struck me. She said beautiful stories and messages with depth and weight.
You know, she's my sister's best friend. And then we got to see each other through our old lives. And I get to call her when I get stuck on something in AA because she's very knowledgeable.
I think that we all want to know how you got here, because most people are not like, oh, let's go to AA on a good day. So tell us how you got here.
Not a good day. This was not my first stint in AA. I was sentenced to AA in my 20s. So I would go and I went high and I went drunk. And I think I even had a sponsor, and it was a woman because I'm so uniquely different than everybody else. And it just didn't work because I never stopped drinking.
Tell people what sentence to AA means.
I got in a jam with the law. I decided I was going to tell everybody I got sober when I was 20. So I continued to lie and cheat and steal and continued to drink and use, even though I was telling everybody in my family and anyone that loved me that I was sober. Yeah. And every time I went to jail or went to the mental institution, I just relapsed just this once. Yeah. So I've had like 4 DUIs, and I have breaking and enterings and domestic violences. And I never thought I should quit drinking, ever. Never, not once.
Did you think those problems were related to drinking or bad luck?
I think it was everyone else's fault. It was somebody else's fault, the reason I got in trouble. You know, the last DUI, I was wearing a yellow terry cloth robe with holes in it, heart pink slippers.
In the car.
Driving. That was December 15th, 2018. And I thought I killed somebody when I woke up on my couch. I called my lawyer. I was like, did I kill somebody? And he said, no, you just hit a parked car. And I was like, oh, thank God, just a parked car. And for me, that's really relevant because that's how I'm used to living my life.
The good news is I hit a parked car in a blackout. That's how bad it is.
Normal.
Yeah, and that's not that big a deal. I don't need to change anything.
I didn't know what to do. It's my 4th DUI. This one was going to be serious consequences. So I called my sister and I said, so I've been telling you I've been sober all these years, and I've never quit drinking. And that was really the first time I ever told like any kind of truth. I knew that she had been doing this lady's hair who her son goes to AA, and it's one of her close friends. And I asked for his phone number. So I text this guy, Bob, and he said, meet me at Lakewood Men's tonight. And I was like, great. I called my sister back and I said, I text Bob and he wants me to meet him at this meeting. And as a good sister, she picks me up. Yep. And I'm withdrawing. I'm sick. My car is an impound. I am sweating and so ashamed and embarrassed. And I knew it was a men's meeting. And she was taking me to this meeting, and I just knew she had to go in there and sit next to me. But she has sense, so she just left me there.
She's not drunk.
Yeah, she has sense. So I'm standing next to this redheaded guy in a parking lot, and he's 10 years younger than me. And I'm like, I can't believe I'm at an AA meeting, like actually sober one day. And I walk in, I'm standing behind him, and all these people want to like shake my hand. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. And I don't really remember what happened at that meeting. I remember that day one that I felt so sick that I couldn't look at another sober person in the eye because I felt so much shame. I couldn't do it. And Bob took me home that night. He made me laugh, a real laugh, not like I'm pretending that everything is okay. Mm. And he said, call me in the morning. So I called him in the morning. And that was like the beginning of the sponsorship that I was so not really wanting.
The beginning of your new life.
Yes, but I didn't want it.
The thing that is really beautiful about that story, Mark, is you say, I didn't want it. And AA is not a program of wanting,
No.
it's a program of willing. And you didn't want to text him, but you did. You didn't want to meet him at the meeting, but you did. You didn't want to call him the next day, but you did. Not wanting to, but being willing.
And now I'm so grateful. I think about, even for us in AA, we meet people at the gates of hell. They are at the worst day of their life, and we get to meet them just like Bob met me.
Mm-hmm.
It is an honor and a gift and a privilege to be able to do that for someone else.
Did you hear anybody in the beginning say, when you were in that state of shame and guilt, you never have to feel this way again?
No, because I wasn't speaking to people for about 6 months.
Well, for the listeners, if you can relate to Mark, you never have to feel that way again.
So what changed at the around 6 months mark?
I went to all of these meetings with my sponsor, and I told them, I hate these meetings. Like, literally, I hate them. And he said, great, go find your own. So I'm like working with these girls, and I'm like, dude, this guy, I keep calling him, and I'm calling him my secret sponsor. And they were like, you're going to have to like stop talking behind people's backs. And you're going to have to tell this guy, this is what you're saying. So I called Bob and I said, hey, you're like my secret sponsor. And he said, you're going to have to ask. So
The power of it.
yeah, so I asked. And what happened was, because I was talking about this with the girls at work who were also active members, this girl says, my boyfriend and I go to this meeting Sunday mornings, and it is an awesome meeting. And I'm like, girl, I've been looking for an awesome meeting for months and months. And she said, great, we'll pick you up at 8:45 a.m. And I'm like, on my day off? That is ridiculous.
Right.
But I was instructed to get in the car.
Yeah.
So I got in the car because I started listening. We drive down to Stella Maris, and there's like 150 people in this teeny little cafeteria, and it is so loud.
The music of AA.
They are like hugging and like so happy to see each other, and all of my fears and all the shame, guilt, and remorse that I'm feeling like subsided because I couldn't hear my crazy thoughts anymore because I'm in this tiny little room with all these people. That's what changed. I found a home group. I just didn't have the verbiage for it yet.
Ah.
I want to go back and ask you, what was the value of having to ask Bob for him to move from your secret sponsor to your actual sponsor?
Isn't that funny? A little pride and ego.
A little pride and ego.
I always thought I could do everything by myself because I've always had to. So asking somebody for help to me felt like I'm weak. Even though the real fear is this, that I don't know how to live life, period. I know that, but I'm not willing to ask anybody for help.
I'm pretty far into this trip now, and it's still scary to ask someone to be my sponsor. You
I
know?
was 33 years sober when I got a new sponsor, and I was scared to call. And she answers, and I launch in this like an avalanche coming out of my mouth. Will you please take me? And she was like, yes. And I was like, yay.
So, Mark, did you work the program of Alcoholics Anonymous with Bob?
I absolutely did.
What was that like?
It's interesting. I was unwilling to read the big book. I was unwilling to read the 12 and 12. And like people were giving me these pamphlets, and I'm like, no. So what happened was, as he's picking me up, he's asking me about unmanageability and what powerlessness looks like. And I'm like, what is he talking about? And then he would give me these assignments and do some writing.
Bob was your secret sponsor.
Correct.
And then you asked him to sponsor you.
Correct.
And then he was your stealthy sponsor.
He is stealthy.
He's stealthy.
He is.
Because when he said, no, I won't read the book where the program of Alcoholics Anonymous is contained, he was like, that's okay. I'm going to just give you assignments and have you answer questions. Bob's the man.
And every time so at this home group, there was this woman who I love, and she said, this is an experience you must not miss. My heart filled up, and it was the first time I ever felt any hope in my entire life. And I'm like, this woman is a genius. And then when I decided I was going to read the big book, I came to this part of the big book and I'm like, man, it's always been here.
I love it.
It's right here.
I absolutely love it.
What made you read the book?
After a year, my sponsor asked me what I was missing for my program. And I said, you know, I have I have the fellowship. I pray and I changed my mind about God and 2 and 3, and I believe now. I don't read the big book. So I did a big book challenge with him. And what it was I had to read a chapter a day, and then I was text him everything in that chapter that pertained to my alcoholism.
Those were some long texts.
Yes. And if I missed a day, that's okay, but I'd have to start at the very beginning.
Oh!
Or of the book?
Chapter 1.
So how many times did you have to read War Fever Ran High?
I did not skip a day because I am not a fool. I don't want to do extra work.
I was born tonight, but not last night.
And what was imperative, I had to call and ask 3 other alcoholics with time about each step.
Ooh.
So not only was I getting step work from my sponsor, but I was getting it from the old timers, people that were right where I was at, and mid timers.
That is clever. I love that.
So I've got a great question for you, my new friend. What do you do with sponsees that are like you?
I always meet them where they're at. And my first sponsee, like first that I took through the steps, I was kind of hard on him. And I gave him rules and I gave him demands and like punishments, only because
You did 12 stomping.
yeah, I did. And you know what? It was in the guise of, I love you so much. I know you're going to die if you don't do this. And that can be very scary. Mm. And then it turns out that it doesn't matter. We're alcoholics. And if you go untreated, you might die. I don't need to stomp you. You're going to stomp yourself if you drink.
Hey, Mark, we could keep on going and going, but we've got another segment we're going to jump into because it's time for hashtag Heard in a Meeting, where we scour the interwebs for your posts of cool things you've heard in a meeting.
I want to ask that we all take a moment and post them on social media with the hashtag Heard in a Meeting. Keep in mind our tradition of anonymity. Sam, what do you have for us today?
Well, I've got one that was emailed to us by Jack A. in Suffield, Connecticut. And this is God, the great biographer, is writing my story. The problem is that I keep stealing his pen. Oh, now Mark's cracking up over there. What's going on, Mark? How's that hit you?
2 people gave me an AA police button. And I was like, oh, girl, you know, I try to keep the traditions right. And years later, I found out it's actually not an honor to be the AA police. That's why it made me laugh.
Right. It's not an honor.
There you go. Give me, Mark, please, a number between 1 and 52.
27.
In sobriety, life has the limits I put on it.
Well, the promise that has come true for me is, and I don't mean this in sort of an evangelistic way, I really don't, but I've been reborn. I'm not the girl that got here. And because I'm a new person, I've got a new point of view, I've got a new set of values, I've got a new way that I live in the world. What limits me is my own thinking. Whatever I think is true, whatever I speak into truth is true. So if I think, oh, I'm always the person that's late, I'm late. If I think, oh, I'm never lucky, I'm never lucky. The limits really come from my own mind. What do you think, Mark?
Somebody asked me at 6 months to go home and write down in 2 years what you want your life to look like, your best life. And I just want to drive in a car and be alone by myself. And that was my best life possible.
Driving in a car by yourself.
My car by myself with a license.
Yeah.
That's my best life. You know, we talk about being rocketed into the 4th dimension. And what I think that is exactly this. When I think 3rd dimensionally, just my human existence, I usually just see what's right in front of me. Like, how does this affect me? When I go to this meeting, am I going to have a good time? Am I going to get sobriety? Am I going to learn anything? And when I walk into the meeting, the 4th dimension opens. It's all of us. It's not just about me. It's not just about what's going on in my life. And if something's going on in my life and I have to overcome it, it's usually for somebody else that is going through the same thing.
Love that. My mind went immediately to the first example of this that I can think of for my recovery, and that was in those very early days. I had the instant answer of no. After the meeting was over, you guys asked me to go out with you, go to the diner or whatnot, and I said no. And I said no. And I said no. And then one day I said yes. And my life started getting bigger. My recovery started growing. And it really is a very easily recalled example to me of how my answers to what life is offering can make my life, that whole thing about pack into the stream of life can do that, or it can be that very limiting small life.
Wow, that was lovely.
All right, let's do one more. Alice, give me a number between 1 and 52, please.
8.
Number 8. The 10th step is like cooking. You clean as you go.
Yes, it's true. For our new friends, the 10th step is continued. This is the first word. Continue to take personal inventory, and when we're wrong, promptly admitted it. And there are many of us that believe that the 10th step, the trilogy 10, 11, and 12, are where we continue to grow. And so step 10 is thought of as step 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we do this major house cleaning, inventory, telling somebody, seeing us objectionable, asking God to remove things, making a list, making amends. And if you do all that work, like you clean your house, and then you just never clean again, it's going to be filthy. We just continue to clean. We continue to clean. We continue to clean.
I like that analogy, actually. The 10th step, if I check my paper by myself, I always come up with an A+. What I have found is that when my sponsor had me call him every day, I was working my 10th step before I was even knowing I was working it. I would tell him when I was fearful. I was telling him when I was being naughty. I love a spot inventory. Like, why am I reacting to this situation? Why? And my favorite is prompt. If I live with it longer than I'm supposed to, it grows into something else, a greater, bigger demon than it actually is.
Absolutely.
You're absolutely right that I try to go through my day. I try to clear things up in the moment if I'm aware that it's happened. But here's the thing. There are things that I'm not aware of.
Yeah.
There are things that are going on that I have done that don't show up again until I do an in-depth look again, which is why I work the steps straight through periodically as well, and do that big 4th step and look specifically for those resentments and those fears and all that other stuff. And so it's really important for me to stay on top of the house cleaning, cleaning the kitchen as I'm cooking, but also, we're doing the weekly housekeeping in the house, dusting and vacuuming and all that. But there's also spring cleaning that shows up, and that's something that I need to do as well. Mark, you have been an absolute delight.
Thank you.
I am so glad we got to chat with you. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
It's time for listener feedback.
Hey folks, we want to hear your comments. Call 212-870-3418 or write us at podcast@aagrapevine.org.
Now we have a little listener feedback from Phyllis F. And the subject is mocktails.
Hi, Pod Squad. On season 11, episode 8, the conversation about non-alcoholic drinks caught my interest because I do have mocktails every now and then, and for a couple of reasons.
1, I get tired of water or soda with lime. If it's dinner time, I don't want the caffeine of iced tea either. Recently, my husband and I celebrated our anniversary. He's also a member of AA, and I ordered a mocktail at dinner. To me, they're celebratory and special. The mocktails I like are all some version of interesting juice and fizzy stuff. However, I do not order virgin versions of usual alcoholic drinks.
2, a cute little glass at the table kind of blends into the scenery, and people who might be self-conscious drinking around me seem to forget that I don't drink. Most of our friends don't care or notice, but some, with alcoholism or addiction in their families, feel very tentative having a glass of wine when we are at dinner.
I've been sober for a good while, and though I don't always order one, from time to time I feel like I'd like one. I ask myself, what's my purpose for doing this? Like I do when I'm invited somewhere where there might be booze. If it's a setting where I'm unfamiliar and I may feel socially awkward, I definitely don't have one. But dinner out with friends or a sober New Year's party we host most years with a house full of fellow AAs, I'm happily mixing up a little soda, flavored simple syrup, and a squeeze of citrus in cute little glasses.
Bottom line, I don't drink mocktails to change how I feel. Sometimes it's just fun and yummy. Big caveat. If a mocktail contains bitters, steer clear. Bitters usually contain alcohol, and even if they don't, for me, it tastes too much like the real thing and kind of freaks me out. As always, I look forward to every Monday and the pod. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Phyllis in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Phyllis, thank you for that.
Indeed, Phyllis, thank you so much for fleshing all that out, because you really introduced some nuances that we definitely didn't talk about when we had that conversation.
And I think virgin, the de-alcoholized alcoholic beverages are not the same as a cute little mocktail drink. I, like Phyllis, will, carbonate some water and have some peach juice, and sure, absolutely, because it opens up a variety of other things that I can have as a beverage that have nothing to do with the desire to drink. I do want to just say this, and we may have talked about this before. There are many, many virgin things out there that were not out there when I got sober. Non-alcoholic scotch, non-alcoholic vodka. And those are not things that I drink or really encourage anybody that I work with to drink, because I don't want to drink. I'm not looking to find a way to drink again. My life is extraordinary, and I don't need alcohol.
Phyllis, thanks so much for writing in. We really appreciate it, and thanks for listening.
Hey, Don, what are you playing with on your phone? We're supposed to be recording a podcast here.
Oh, well, sorry, Sam. Look, I was just checking my spiritual fitness in the new Grapevine app.
Oh, the daily spiritual maintenance checklist? Well, are you fit?
Yep, says so here. And look, there's a daily quote and a sobriety calculator.
And you can read the latest issue and all of the past issues all the way back to 1944.
And you can have the app read the magazine to you out loud as a playlist. It's the monthly magazine in print and audio.
Right in your pocket. The Grapevine and Lavinia apps are now available for both iOS and Android phones. To get yours, go to the App Store on your phone.
I'm at the very wit's end. The doors of the crowded elevator were about to close when a drunk pushed his way in. As the elevator started up, a lady told the drunk to turn around and face the door like a normal person. But the car was so crowded, he couldn't move. All the passengers stared into the bleary, bloodshot eyes with obviously increasing embarrassment. Finally, the drunk cleared his throat loudly.
Ladies and gentlemen, I guess you're all wondering just why I called this meeting.
It's really not that funny.
Thanks for joining us. The AA Grapevine Half Hour Variety Hour is posted every Monday and is produced by AA Grapevine, Inc. We don't speak for AA as a whole. We share the experience, strength, and hope of members to help others recover from alcoholism. All things Grapevine are available at aagrapevine.org, including our app and how to get in touch with us. Find us on Instagram and YouTube. If you want to know more about AA, visit aa.org or search online for Alcoholics Anonymous and your city.